Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Kelsey Marks.
And I'm Dr. Erica Fontenot.
And we are going to talk about what to do if you find one of these guys outside. And what it means to have a kitten. And even in the event you didn't find one, if you went and adopted one, we're going to go through everything you need to know, like Kitten 101, I guess. This is George.
And this is May.
And they're going to be hanging out with us, I guess our guest stars for the 4 Blonde Docs podcast episode. First and foremost, probably the number one thing that, people ask about when they bring in kittens is vaccines. Just like with puppies, they do need vaccines as well. Wow.
So vicious.
My gosh, very vicious. And so we all not all have a different number. So you can technically start vaccinating at 6 to 8 weeks of age. With kittens, though, they do tend to be on the smaller side. So a lot of us will opt to start vaccines probably around the 8 or 9 week timeline. Oh my God.
Oh God. Come here.
Okay,
let's take a break.
And just like in dogs, I don't know if anybody's had puppies before, but same thing as in dogs, we vaccinate them every 2 to 3, sometimes 4 weeks until they're 16 weeks old, which is the equivalent of 4 months. And the importance of that is, they're born with maternal antibodies and protection from their mom. And that kind of wanes as they get a little bit older. And then at 4 months, we know that they're pretty much at 0. And so we want to make sure that we're boostering them up to get to that 100% so that they will be protected against all of their big diseases that they get. So the core vaccines, FVRCP, so we don't think about it a ton, but it's feline viral rhinotracheitis, calicivirus, and panleukopenia. And those are the big ones that we vaccinate for. And kittens, that's our core vaccines. And then we'll add rabies into that when we can. Oh, gotcha. And then we also vaccinate for feline leukemia virus in the event that you have an indoor-outdoor or predominantly outdoor kitten. But you can kind of talk about FELV if you want to.
Yeah, so feline leukemia is a virus that is spread between cats. So we call it the loving virus. So they get it from any kind of play behavior, not necessarily bites. And it just makes them more susceptible to certain diseases. Stop. So when we have an outdoor cat, because of the cat population and we don't know who they're going to come in contact with, that's why we like to vaccinate them against that. That way we're not spreading these things in the wild.
And it's not wrong even if you don't know, if your intent is for them to be an indoor only cat. But they start to show interest of going outside. Usually they get older, they get curious, and then turns into a situation where they are kind of indoor outdoor. So it's not wrong to vaccinate them as kittens either way.
Yeah, that's what I do. I vaccinate all kittens, at least 2, just to at least they have that coverage if they decide to go outside at any point. At least they'll be covered.
Yeah, for sure.
At least a little bit.
Yep. And just like in dogs, so vaccine schedules can kind of vary a little bit based on which vaccine you're using. But after the initial kitten series, at least coming back once a year for the core vaccine repeat. We might do a 3-year rabies. We may do a 1-year rabies. It's kind of cat dependent, I guess. Yeah. And then getting that FELV boosted every single year too. So they get annuals just like dogs do. You have the option to do blood work just like in dogs. Because kitty cats have a number of things that they can get, and we're not going into all of that today, but it's important to kind of treat them like dogs too, just little dogs, but they're very different.
And we also check fecals on cats, just like we do for dogs, because just like dogs, kittens can get worms, especially I feel like the kittens that people are finding in the middle of the road, like this one. This
big
one
old
too.
belly.
They usually tend to have worms, so we will check fecals, we'll deworm them. We always like to tell people if you have a cat, bring in a fecal sample so we don't have to stick something up their behind.
Yes, that's a huge.
So if you can remember, even for cat appointments, if you can remember to grab a fecal sample from the litter box, then you don't have to do that. But they get worms just like dogs do. So yeah, we deworm them.
Yeah, we deworm them, and then kind of aside from vaccinations, getting them started on preventions is important. Cats are, especially outdoor cats, are probably the predominant spreaders of fleas.
Yes.
And it's the flea wants to be on the warmest individual, which usually is going to be a cat.
Especially a kitten.
And so they'll even So we've seen kittens come in with like flea infestations, and that can more than just be annoying and gross, like can make them very, very, very sick. And it can
Yes.
happen very quickly. So getting them started on flea prevention at the youngest age possible, even if they're indoor only, is super duper important. So that's something that we would send you home with as well. And we would send you home with it every couple of weeks while they're getting their kitten boosters and things like that. So you're kind of covered for the first, X amount of months. And then after that, you'll just have to come back and grab it because we don't have long-lasting options as we do in dogs with cats. When they're old enough, they can get Bravecto, which is every 3 months. But for the most part, it's monthly flea prevention for cats. For now, at least. There's something coming, but for now.
For now.
For now. So those are kind of the big things. So vaccines, deworming, and then getting them started on prevention from a medical standpoint at least.
And then spaying and neutering. If you get a kitten from a shelter, I feel like 9 times out of 10 they're already fixed just because we don't have to wait as long with cats. Like dogs, we like to let them get a little bit bigger before we spay and neuter them. But with cats, we tend to do it earlier. So I feel like shelters, they never adopt out cats that are not fixed. So if you find one, like these two are going to need to be spayed and neutered. But we do it pretty early. Ouch. We do it pretty early on in them because we don't need any more kittens in the world.
And cats will go into heat and can become pregnant very young, like 5,
very
6
quickly.
months. Very quickly, yeah, like 5, 6 months they can be pregnant. We always say like babies having babies. It's really sad. And so by all means, like don't wait. And we're not going into that kind of stuff, but kitten and cat reproductive behavior, it's like not really something you want to have in your house, honestly.
No, absolutely not.
Whenever we say, they're big enough, they're ready, I promise.
It.
Do it.
Please
Do it. And we typically say 4 pounds or 4 months, whichever one comes first would be the earliest that we could do it. 6 months being probably the latest, whereas that's like the earliest in dogs.
Gotta take a break.
You're so silly.
Gotta be nice.
And then the other thing that we'd probably mention at a kitten appointment would be testing them for FELV and FIV. So we referenced FELV earlier, and we do have a vaccine for that. But that's not the only virus that cats can get that can go dormant in their system. And what we mean by dormant in their system is that either one of these kittens could have FELV or FIV, and we wouldn't necessarily know. So that's something that they can contract at a very early age, either from mom or some other exposure in the environment, and it can go dormant, meaning it goes latent basically in their immune system. Their immune system kind of keeps it in check for a while, and then sometimes a stressful event will bring it out, and it can cause like white blood cell lines to be decreased. They can be more susceptible to infections. Overall, that's your butt. Overall, just feel really crummy, and then actually can cause certain types of cancer to form too. So not necessarily something we want to mess around with, and testing them really young can, provide us an opportunity to know, okay, is this cat safe to introduce to other cats in the house? Are they safe to even go outside? Because if you have an FELV or an FIV positive cat, you don't necessarily want them to go outside and spread that around to other cats.
Yeah, like my mom found this kitten. She's got a cat at home that we know is negative for stuff. And so before she introduces this cat to her cat, we tested her to make sure that was safe. So yeah, I feel like it's important not only for them to go outside, but for housemates.
And FELV is feline leukemia virus is what it stands for. That's, as she said earlier, the licking or the friendly cat disease. And then FIV is the unfriendly cat disease, or the biting. So biting and like scratches and things like that is how they transmit FIV, and that's feline immunodeficiency virus.
So it's like, I like to say it's like cat HIV. And so they can get really sick from it.
Get really sick. And they can either be like poor doers, or they can be fine for a long time, and then things pop up. And then in the event your new kitten does test positive for one of those, we recommend retesting them whenever they're 6 months old, because in the event mom had it and didn't pass it along, they still may pop positive from an antibody standpoint. Oh my God. FIV specifically, they'll pop positive from an antibody standpoint. And then we retest them a little bit later, and then they may become negative. So just kind of holding off on an introduction until then would be smart. And then probably the biggest thing, especially if you've never had a cat before, is like they are different. They are not
special.
They are special. They're different, as you can
They're
see.
Easy.
They're so easy, or usually so easy. They're so much fun. I never had a cat until 3 years ago, and I am obsessed with my cat. Hey.
Y'all need snacks.
Y'all need to be nice. I thought you guys would be nicer
I know, it's
to each
supposed
other.
to be cute.
Yeah, y'all supposed to be cute, but y'all being crazy.
Snacks.
They're a lot of fun, for sure. But they get the zoomies and they run around
that.
and they scratch and they bite and they
you.
claw and they climb up your furniture. And so having
Sorry, Kitten.
this is a great example of them not really having enrichment, right? So it's really important if you plan on bringing a cat into your home. Everyone envisions like, oh, the cat, they sleep on the sofa. You don't have to do anything with them. They're so
Not
easy.
when they're this age.
Eventually, right? Like eventually they will calm down and eventually they will sleep 23 hours of the day. But at this age, they don't do that.
Nope.
They parkour off your wall and they jump on everything and they jump on the counter and they knock stuff off the counter. And they chew on string and everything is a toy. And I mean, my cat's more curious about food than my dog is. So, expecting or not being surprised when all these behaviors start is important for sure.
Yeah, I think the enrichment and like them having toys. Like I feel like some dogs
toys.
play with toys, but and I feel like old cats usually don't play with toys,
Right.
but like kittens need toys because they need that enrichment for like that prey drive or that predator drive, which is exactly what's happening here. It's like they want to do that hunting. So getting them toys that you can hide or like toys that the lasers, like things to chase.
Interactive
and it just,
stuff. Yeah.
Because it just helps feed
Even
that.
like some of the dumbest toys, they love them.
They do.
Like, we throw a cotton ball in all the exam rooms, and I've never not had a kitten like go after it once they saw it like running past them.
That was mean.
That was really intense.
Rude.
Do we have to separate y'all?
I know, for real. Come here.
Yeah, y'all need to be
hold
separated
you.
for
I
a
hold
second.
you.
But yeah, so like the little ball toys, ones that like hide things when they press on
And
it or
those
like pops out.
Things that twirl and they have to get in the hole.
and they have to get it. We have a weird contraption at my house. It's like a twirly thing with like, and I saw it and I'm like, this is so silly. My mom got it actually for my cats and they love it. So yeah,
and cats like to perch.
Yes,
like they like to be up.
Yes.
So cat tree, that's what those are for. Cat trees, because they like to be up and away from everything and judge you while they sit up there.
Yep, and they like to look out the window, and they like to scratch. So getting scratching posts and trimming their nails, starting to trim their nails when they're really, really young is important with cats. So you can continue to trim them when they get older. But there's a nail trimmer on Amazon that I have for my cat that I love that it actually has a light on it. So when you go to cut the nail and you kind of expose their nail like that, it'll illuminate the quick, which is the part that if you cut it, if you cut the quick, it'll bleed and it's really painful. And so those little nail trimmers are so nice, and you can get them on Amazon because they illuminate that quick. But starting that as soon as possible, what's that scary? It would be great. So you can continue to trim them at home because they'll get really long
And another thing about the scratching post is cats tend to have a preference if they're a vertical scratcher or horizontal scratcher. So some cats will destroy a sofa because they're vertical scratchers. And some cats will do rugs. My cat is a rug destroyer. So they have scratching posts that are vertical, which are like the cat trees, but they also make those cardboard things. So if they're horizontal, just because some cats won't do certain, I mean, they'll do both if they want, but just to give them that enrichment because they usually do have a preference.
Yeah, I have one of each. My male cat is a horizontal and vertical. Yeah. And then my female cat's a horizontal.
Sweet angel.
Oh yeah, there's something. And I mean, cats like play. They like other cats. We always joke like getting your cat a cat is like a very common thing. Because they like this. Like I know that it seems like they're fighting, but they're having a good time.
They're vicious.
Yeah, they're vicious. So if your home can have two cats, that's always good.
And even not even necessarily like litter mates, but like even just different ages, because it's just like enrichment. It gives them a buddy.
For sure. And it teaches them boundaries and things. Because a lot of these kittens are coming from mom at very, very young ages. So they're not really taught.
Who smacks them around to tell them not to do bad stuff. And
they're not really taught. Another big thing, too, is kind of figuring out your litter box situation when they're young and kind of sticking to it. Because cats and litter boxes is...
fun.
Not fun. Yeah, fun, not fun. They can be quite picky. And so even like changing the location can really, really upset them. So kind of really like thinking that through before bringing a cat home is important. Like where do you want it to be? What type of litter do you want? Because they get really accustomed to one and they want to stick with that. And if you change it up on them unexpectedly, they don't
poop in your sink.
Yeah, they don't tend to handle that very well. Cats show their stress very, they don't let you miss it. I'll say that.
They let you know that they're stressed.
Yeah, poop in the sink or pee on your pillow or something like that. So That's not fun. But yeah, litter box is a big one that you can kind of avoid if you kind of think it out. And obviously things change, right? But in the event you do need to move your litter box or change things up and they're not handling it well, just give us a call and we can kind of talk about ways to do that more gradual and things.
And then food, I would say we keep them on kitten food for a good bit. Technically, like once they're spayed and neutered, you can switch them over to adult food. But like if we're gonna neuter one this little, I keep them on kitten food for a while.
Yeah.
You can do it until they're a year. They might get a little bit chunky.
Yeah.
But yeah, any kind of kitten food. When they're teeny tiny, they may need like some wet food to start out, and then you can kind of transition them to kibble and add water to it. But once they get, like, both of them are eating kibble just fine.
Oh yeah.
And they're pretty little, so.
Yeah. If they have teeth,
Cats are
they
pretty
typically,
easy.
yeah, if they have teeth, they usually don't
They have to figure it out for a little bit, but they usually do just fine.
Yeah. And then bottle feeding. I mean, like if you find a kitten.
God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you. Thank you for trying to do the right thing. Thank you for picking that baby up. But a lot of kittens, like especially when they're only a couple weeks old, and we always kind of say, and this doesn't go for everyone, right? But like 4 weeks usually equals like 1 pound.
Yep.
So if you're kind of
I was
questioning,
looking at apparently they did a study on that to actually like agree with that.
which it really is consistent. Like if
Yeah.
you do the teeth compared to the weight compared to how old you think it is, except for like in a Maine Coon, which is a bigger cat, right?
Special
But
case.
it's really consistent.
1 pound equals 1 month. So this one's like 1 1/4. So I called her like 6 or 7 weeks old, and it's just a guess, but
this one's probably closer to like 8 weeks. 8 to maybe even more than that, because he's like 2 and a little over 2 pounds.
Oh, you want to go up there?
Where are you going?
You can go up there. See, they like to be up and perch.
And they climb. See, they climb. We got Spider-Man over here.
But yeah, if you find one of those tiny kittens, honestly, yes, they might need to be bottle fed, but I think more people think like this one. If somebody would find that, people would be like, "I've been feeding them milk," and you're like, "Oh no, you don't have to do that. They can get some food."
And no human milk.
No.
Get kitten replaced. Not human milk. Not even human milk.
Yeah,
no cow's milk.
No cow's milk.
Not out the carton in your
breast-
fridge.
No breast milk.
Not that either. No
Although
milk
breast
out
milk
the
might be
carton
better
in
than
your
cow's
fridge. So no cow milk.
Yeah. They
Kitten
make
replacer at PetSmart
stop.
is the best option for them, and there's instructions on how much to give
Yeah.
and how often to feed and things like that. And then keeping them warm if you find them in a
Yes.
particularly bad
Ooh, that's a good one.
situation.
Yeah, if you find a tiny kitten that looks really sick, keeping them warm, keeping them fed, and making sure they're going potty, I feel like is the most important thing.
And if they're covered in fleas, Dawn, the plain blue with the little duck and the oil. Good job. The plain blue Dawn dishwashing soap with the little ducky
the duck on it.
and oil is gonna kill the fleas. So you can give them a bath with that, and that's safe for them. Just wash their eyes and stuff.
And get them dry, and then keep them warm. And you know, cats are pretty resilient.
Cats are very resilient.
We always joke that no matter how sick cats are, and they survive some stuff.
They do. They survive some crazy stuff.
Dogs are not as tough.
No, they aren't. Not like a cat. Which, all that's to say, they will hide things for a long time.
Yes.
So really being in tune with, okay, are they urinating? Are they defecating? Are they eating? Some vomiting. Like, no vomiting is normal, right? But cats get hairballs, and like that's considered
Cats are
normal.
pukers.
And so it's a very subjective, like how often does a cat vomit? That's normal or not normal. But just being in tune with everything, because the quicker you can pick up on them not feeling well, the better usually. But they'll hide it as long as they can.
Yeah. Sometimes the only thing is like they're hiding. Period.
Yeah.
Like they're hiding more.
Yep.
And that's the only.
Or the opposite, they're more clingy.
Or
like
that,
if you've got a very independent cat who really doesn't want to be held a ton, if they're very clingy, that's another sign sometimes. But that's kind of all the big things.
I think that's it. Vaccines, food, prevention, spays and neuters, enrichment. I feel like that's
Litter
everything.
box.
Litter box.
Yeah, that's the big stuff. And then introducing to another pet in the house is probably a good question too.
I saw like a 3-3-3 rule.
Yeah.
3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months.
Yes, for adjustment periods. But like when you introduce them, if you can do it gradually, that would be best. So like keep new kitten in a bathroom that has like a, open doorway at the bottom where they can like smell each other. Do that for a few days, and then keep a sock, like have your older cat or dog, whatever it is, like sleeping with a sock or wearing something around their neck or something like that to encourage the smell to transfer. And then same thing with the kitten, like keeping it in the kitten's room and then swapping them, right? And so they can get used to the smell of each other. And then, supervise maybe through a gate or something like that where they can actually see each other, do that for a day or two before actually
Just
like
throwing
introducing
them to each other.
Yeah.
It might be fine, but
Yeah.
it may also not be fine.
Well, and another thing too, it's like they're okay. They're fighting, right?
they're
But they're
teeny.
okay, right? And like they're having fun, they're playing, and that may be the same behavior your older cat does.
Yeah.
Like they may come at them and play and chirp and all this other stuff, and it's actually just play, and it looks like they're being aggressive, but they're not.
But
So that's
also an
another
older
thing.
cat can be very angry.
Very angry. The older, probably the more angry
Yeah.
that they might get. So obviously
So I think
supervising that.
It's like 3 days for them to like get de-stressed and like have their own space. 3 months for them, or 3 weeks to get more acclimated, and then I should know more. 3 months
Yeah.
for something.
And then by 3 months, they
They
should be
good.
fully,
something like that.
yeah. So it can take a while. And cats almost always come around. Like even
Yeah.
the older cranky ones, like they'll establish their boundaries, and then everybody will just
They'll
kind of
tolerate it.
coherently live in the home.
Yeah.
So they do come around typically.
And they'll
But-
sit on the sofa and judge everybody. And,
Yeah.
Or like, and they'll have their own cat space. I feel like as long as they have their own spaces, like,
Yep.
especially, I feel like that's a good one. When like you're introducing to dogs, that's another good reason to have like a cat tree or a
perch,
perch,
something
because
high.
like the cat needs to get away from
Yep.
be able to get away from the dog.
Oh God.
Bad kitties.
Bad kitties.
Bad kitties. Man, this windowsill is so fun.
Oh, and well, plants.
Toxic plants.
Toxic plants. So my cat loves to chew on things. Like I have a lot of artificial plants. I have to have artificial plants. I can not really have real flowers because she chews on them a lot. Oh, we're growling now.
Spicy.
Spicy kitties.
Come here, Spicy.
But probably the most toxic for cat. No, definitely the most toxic for cats is lilies.
Yes.
Really, any variation of a lily is very toxic for them.
Oh my God.
So honestly, if you have a cat, just don't have lilies.
Yes.
Like
no
it's not
lilies.
worth it. It's not worth the risk. It doesn't take much. Just don't have them.
And it's like the real lilies that are like in Easter arrangements or Mother's Day arrangements. And
Yep.
if it's like any part of the lily, the stem, the leaf, the petal, the pollen, and it's bad. Not good.
And on that note too, as with any medication, like any over-the-counter human grade medication, we don't give that to animals in general.
But especially not cats.
But Tylenol, most insects too, but Tylenol, like, will kill a cat.
yes.
And there's no, like, way to sugarcoat that. Like,
Nope.
they are, they
will
cannot
turn blue,
metabolize
and
it.
they will
And they,
die.
like, it very rarely can we pull them out of that. So that's another thing that I feel like people don't know.
No.
So it's worth at least saying just in case.
No. That's
But they're
no.
so fun and they're so cute.
And they don't bite
And they
at
make
all.
you laugh. Yeah, and their nails aren't sharp and they don't bite. And, they're
don't
not
cu-
crazy.
And they don't make you bleed all
No,
the
and they're
time.
not crazy or anything like
They
that.
are great though. Cats are great. And they're easy. Like, they'll be lazy and they'll snuggle and they'll do their own thing.
Oh, nothing better than a cat snuggle. That's the best. They're so fun.
Sweet angels.
But definitely
cats
educating. I mean, they're easy, but educating yourself for
Yeah.
sure prior to getting one.
You're vicious. Ow.
You can just do that by watching this video. You know everything you need to know.
Man.
Not really, but you know. So kittens, you can do a lot more with them than you
Yeah.
think. Like if you're going to run to Starbucks and you're going to get a pup cup, like my cat loves whipped cream. So like I used to bring her with me all the time to go get a coffee. Actually I said Starbucks, but we would always go get Jet. And then she'd get a pup cup and she loved it. So yeah, you can do more with
Yeah.
them than you think.
You
And
just gotta
like
start them young.
and that's a good point too about like bringing them in the car because then they don't only associate car visits with vet visits.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times we'll have a cat on the schedule for vaccines and then they have to cancel the appointment because
They can't
catch them, or you bring the carrier out and
Yeah.
they're like, oh no, I know what that means. So keeping the carrier out in a comfortable space as well so they don't just associate its presence with going to the vet is
Yeah.
huge too. But yeah, riding in the car, bringing them, places.
Putting
Like
them
I bring,
harnesses.
yeah, putting them in harnesses. Like my cat used to walk on a harness. She doesn't do it anymore, but she used to. But the earlier you do those things, the more likely the behavior translates to adulthood, for sure. But yeah, I would say, and they can be treat trained. Like my cat's treat
absolutely.
trained. You a lot more
You
with
can do
cats
it.
than they get
I
credit
mean, people
for.
potty train cats.
Yeah,
like
some
no,
cats
excuse
poop
me,
in the toilet. Yeah,
toilet train
Yeah.
cats. So they're very smart. They're
They are.
just more strategic about how much they let you know that they're smart.
yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for the Four Blonde Docs podcast, where we talked about kittens, Kitten 101. If you have any other questions or anything, always feel free to reach out. We're always willing to talk about kittens.
Oh yeah.
You did it.
Thanks.